Snow bunnies, hop off the live right now. Snow bunnies, hop off the live right now. Snow bunnies, if you're going to stay on the live, please be respectful. This is an African conversation. I understand that your white privilege has made you feel comfortable invading the private spaces and conversations of African people. I do not want you here because this is a conversation with my people. But I understand your white privilege gives you the right to invade African space. And one day we as African people are going to do something about that. So if you are here, members of the Neanderthal community, please be respectful. Please be respectful of members of the original man and woman community of this planet Earth. I said, please be respectful. All non-Africans who choose to be on this conversation, please be respectful of your genetic parents. That is the black man and woman, the original man and woman of the planet Earth. We are the genetic parents of all of you. We are the genetic parents of the European. We are the genetic parents of the Asian. We are the genetic parents of the Asiatic. We are the genetic parents of the Latinos, the Mexicans, the Indians, the East Indians, the Native American. We are your genetic parents. And as your genetic parents, we ask the respect that is due from a child to his parent. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being honest. But given the fact that I am unapologetically African, given the fact that I'm the father and the founder of the unapologetically African, unapologetically black movement, I could care less about what you think. People who are hungry for liberation don't care about...
Excuse me, everyone, I have a brief announcement to make. Jesus was black, Ronald Reagan was the devil, and the government is lying about 9/11. Thank you for your time, and good night.
No! That can't be true! Ow!
You having that dream where you made the white people riot, weren't you?
But I was telling the truth.
How many times have I told you you better not even dream about telling white folk the truth? You understand me? Shoot. Making white people riot. You better learn how to lie like me. I'm gonna find me a white man and lie to him right now.
See these white people, you see them on their skateboard? You know, we invented that. We had skates. And when our skate would break down, we would get a 2x4 and take our skate and nail it to the board, and you saw it and develop a skateboard, and you made money, and we still poor.
The Patterson Car Company was a car company founded by former slaves, African-American men, and the Patterson Car Company was the first African-American car manufacturer in the country, I think the only manufacturer in the country. And what's interesting about the Patterson Car Company, it was in Ohio. Their cars were considered higher quality than the Model T cars that Henry Ford had.
The DeRay brothers, Ford and them stole it. That's why all over the world, Ford never gets credit for inventing a car. He gets credit for mass production.
The cars began coming off the assembly line at the rate of 1 every 40 seconds.
Until that, they take one car and put it together. One car and put it together. But where did he get that from? George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was never around black folks till he went to Tuskegee.
White people did not invent that. I am your host, Tori. Let's get started. So first we have potato chips. There's Gulf teas. There's automatic elevator doors. Refrigerated trucks. You can thank this guy. A home security system. A fold-away bed. You can also thank this guy for peanut butter, stains, paints, lotions, and soaps. You can also thank him for gas masks and the 3-light traffic light. You better be saying your thank yous to this guy, because he made the modern toilet. He invented lawnmowers. And there's also, if not limited to, paper, the game of chess, the rotary engine, disposable syringes and horseshoes, the printing press and pressure cookers, and fire extinguishers. distinguished. You can thank Henry Sampson for the cell phone. So this is Granville T. Woods, and he invented the electric railway system, telephone transmitters, and roller coasters. You can thank Augustus Jackson for ice cream. I couldn't find a picture of him though. This is Otis Boykin, and he created pacemaker controls. Robert Fleming Jr., he invented the guitar. G.T. Sampson, he invented the clothes dryer. I couldn't find a picture of him either. I looked everywhere. This is R.B. Spikes, and he invented the automatic gear shift. And you see Steve Henson right here? He invented ranch dressing. And there's more, if not limited to locks, hairbrushes, fountain pens, super soaker water guns, fire escape ladders, and even guided missiles. Helicopters. You can go ahead and thank George for the ultraviolet camera. Gloria Chisholm, she made protective eyewear for pilots. Sarah Boone, she invented the ironing board. Y'all remember that hand crank pencil sharpener in school? That was John Lee Love. There's also ice cream scoops and fruit juicers too. And there's also, if not limited to, defrosters, curtain rods, lawn sprinklers, street sweepers, horse riding saddles. I bet some of y'all didn't see that one coming. What was that last one? Oh yeah, rock and roll music. We could keep this going.
It'd be difficult for people to prove intellectual inferiority. That's why even in our textbooks in school, they don't like to teach our children about black inventions. Because even greater than our African history are our American inventions. Because from nowhere, you're coming up with things that revolutionize the American social and economic order.
Well, basically, there is a proverb that says that the only thing that peoples of European descent ever created was the patent office, because they stole everybody else's ideas and put their name on it.
During slavery, because you were the property of your master, a lot of what we invented was automatically given credit to the master. The credit was forwarded to the master because we was property. We weren't allowed to take fame or notoriety for the things we created.
Anything that made work easier. Why would white people want to invent something that make work easier when they have black folks to do it?
You have a huge incentive to try to get things to move smoothly so that, you don't get any more lashes, or somebody doesn't now have to sell someone else in your family. There was a lot of incentive to create inventions.
And that's another thing. Most of our black inventors had to deal with idea theft. White folks would come in and say, we did it first because we didn't necessarily know the process or have the money to patent our inventions. So white folk will find out what a black person invented and go do it real fast and get their application in, because back then the process wasn't as thorough as it is now. Whoever got their application in first to the patent office, that's who got the patent. So we got thousands of inventions by black people. We'll never even know it because of the fact that they were stolen.
They don't want anyone to know that we invented things. So if it wasn't for black people, white people couldn't take a dump. A black man invented the toilet, and he just made it white on purpose.
A slave by the name of Black Sam, Eli Whitney's slave, created the idea for the cotton gin, and his master took it and patented in his own name. How could he do that with no benefit of books? He wasn't even allowed to learn.
A lot of people assume just because African slaves were illiterate, they were ignorant. And there's a real big difference, because African people, they had a very elaborate language or elaborate languages over in Africa. When Africans were brought over here, they were taught a bastardized version of English, and they weren't even allowed to see the language written down. And they were taught the language by lower class Europeans who were living in the South. So even though there was that major obstacle, blacks still did phenomenal things. Thomas Edison was known for stealing people's inventions. He was known for taking the inventions of a few African-American inventors. Lewis Latimer, Granville T. Woods actually went to court with Thomas Edison, and Granville T. Woods actually won his case.
Thomas Edison tried to bring Granville T. Woods to court on that invention. And I just saw a commercial for Mazda, I believe, cars, where they said, here's a man holding 1,000 patents. Well, 90% of them he stole.
Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison, who are probably considered America's two greatest inventors of all time. But guess who was designing their blueprints for the patent application? A black man. Now let's think about this for a minute. If you invent something, why do you need me to do the blueprints for the patent application? If it's your idea, How in the hell can I do the blueprints for it? You can't do the blueprints for my idea. I have to do them. So if Latimer is doing the blueprints, if he is your chief draftsman and he's doing your blueprints for your patent application, Alexander Graham Bell, did you invent the telephone or did Lewis Latimer invent the telephone?
Thomas Edison had a whole troop of people that was in his sweatshop, and depending on the invention, he would hand it over to that particular department and tell them, see what it is that does, and then do something a little different, and we'll patent that. And when he took Granville T. Wood's information and tried to make it his own, the court said no.
The watermelon and black people stereotype, that came and that was popularized by Thomas Edison. Around 1890, Thomas Edison put together this Nickelodeon reel. There were these African-American men who were joking around, shucking and jiving and kind of mugging for the camera, and they were eating watermelon. And Edison filmed this, put this out, and the general public saw this, and they said, okay, African-American people must really love watermelon. And right after that film came out, thousands of postcards and all types of memorabilia flooded the market of African-American people eating watermelon. So that watermelon stereotype was popularized by Thomas Edison.
A lot of people don't know there's an African-American male who is significant, has patents on the first major computer chips that made computers operate.
Other inventors that we don't know about, essentially, who they call the father of the internet, was Philip Emeagwali, a Nigerian man who essentially created the connection for quantum bits of information so that multiple computers could actually communicate with one another.